guess from your point of view, just glad finally that this season has arrived.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been strange, isn't it? Been very strange and difficult and quite confusing at times. But yeah, no, it's nice to be. It's nice to start getting, even the preparation during the week. You're preparing for an opponent. You're preparing for, for points, for a reward. There's no more. We're getting fit, and we're looking at this and looking at that mumbo jumbo. It's time to start getting very stressed and very angry again.
And what's it been like, Darren? Because it's only very recently, of course, that it's been confirmed that you can start because of the support package and stuff. I mean, it can't have been easy preparing for this season alone, much less because you never even knew if it was actually going to start on time.
No, we've been. I'd say we've been quite polar opposite for that, and the players are very good at that, and they know that if there's anything they need to hear or be told, they know that I'm always quite consistent in giving out the information that they need to best befit their preparation. But they've been okay. They've been very focused. I think they're, a lot of people, and I'm probably speaking for the wider public now, not just or population, not just the footballing world, but I think a lot of people are just happy and a lot more comfortable having routine, having somewhere to go, and getting back to their normal sort of daily jobs. And that's been the nice bit. It's been nice spending. I've spoke so many times about how much I enjoy being with this group of players, and we all know how much they enjoy being with me. So it's a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, and how is the squad looking for the weekend?
Not bad. We've got a couple of problems with a couple of players. As we all know, Charlie Lee is a regular in the treatment room. Albie Skendy's a doubt. Alex John is a doubt. Alex John is pretty certain that he won't be travelling. I think apart from that, we're a clean bill of health.
I know you weren't happy about the 5:20 kick-off, but it's now 5:30, isn't it? What do you make of that?
I'm tired just thinking about it. It means I'll be back in my bed at about 4 in the morning. So, listen, it happens. I've got to say it's part of the job when you play for Yeovil, and the travelling. We just try and obviously make the best for the players and getting them back in their homes and back to their families as quickly as possible. Look, we feel very lucky to be given that TV slot, on the opening day, and I think it's testament to our growth and what we've given so far on the telly, which is practically nothing.
What do you expect from Kings Lynn? It's their biggest game, isn't it? The first time they've been at this level, it's a big game for them. So I guess they're going to come out and throw everything at you to open the game with, at least. Yeah, well,
it's a really interesting dynamic, because I think there's two things to consider here. The natural thing to consider is that Yeovil is traditionally a big club. Without our supporters, we're not a big club. We're just a football club. And Kings Lynn, I'm making an assumption here. I hope I don't offend anyone with this, but Kings Lynn financially will probably be outspending us. I can believe that. They've always, even when I go back to my very primitive career, they were always a team that attracted good players because they had a resource to pay them. So they're a good side, and Ian has done fabulously well, and they're well coached. You can see obviously the qualities of the coach in the team's organisation and shape, and they're well coached. They're a good side. They've got some very good players. Cameron King played for Halifax last year, very, very good player. Adam Marriott played for me at Stevenage very briefly because of injury, but Adam's a proper player. Adam's a league player. So it's a tough game. It's a tough game, and I think any time you play a team that's, especially opening day, that's been promoted, they're going to come with lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm. Combine that with being a well-coached team and a well-resourced team. It'll be a very, very tough game for us. They don't come much harder than this.
It is Ian Culverhouse someone you know personally?
No, Ian's not someone I know. He's someone I know of because of his CV. He's got a wonderful CV, and people don't work at those levels. And with the people he's worked with and the clubs that he's worked at, you know, for being poor within your trade, you know. So he'll be a, you know, like I said, I think you can always see a team, and you can see the manager in the team, and you know, if that's what Ian is, you know, about as a coach, and you know, in terms of his strategy, he's obviously very good at delivering that strategy because they play good football, very good football, and like I said, you know, I don't think it's as big club, little club as people make out. I really don't believe that because, again, we're a big club. We're a big club because of our supporters. When you take the supporters away, we're just a normal club.
How important is a fast start in this league, Darren?
It's nice, isn't it? It makes you feel warm and fuzzy for 24 hours, and then you go back to being in the same position you were, you know, before the game, wanting to win the next game and anxious to win the next game. Listen, I think we all know the most important thing is to finish as strongly as possible. And the first game, it's the first chance to learn. It's the first chance to see your team, you know, being challenged and being tested and contested. And that's it. Listen, it's not going to. Saturday's not going to dictate our season, that's for sure. But it'll be. It just makes you feel nice and warm and fuzzy, doesn't it? For an evening. I quite like that feeling. I'd rather feel like that than want to, you know, bury my head in the pillow. But we'll just attack it as we've attacked every game in the last 13, 14 months.
Yeah, and just finally from me, Darren, we've spoken before in the past, every week almost, that we're asking about the size of the squad, and obviously it's something that you're keen, you'd like to improve the numbers in your squad, etc. Are you optimistic that anything can happen in terms of additions to your squad?
Optimism might be strong. I don't know. I really don't know. It's like I said, we all know how tough it is out there. We haven't got a lot of players. We haven't got a big squad, but I can't moan about that for the next 10 months. Can I? We're just going to have to use what we can as well as we can, and try and play, you know, as well as we can, and with as much passion and determination for what is a very long campaign. And whatever players we've got at our disposal, they need to understand what they have to bring when they play for Yeovil. You know, it's so important. Not so much Yeovil for me, because I pick the team, and they have to understand what is required of them and what is expected of them. So I think, you know, it's going to be a huge effort this year. Like I've said and alluded to on many a times, this is going to be such a tough year, such a tough year. A real war of attrition. I can see that now, and you know, we're all just hoping that we can get through a game at a time, aren't we? Because there's still a lot of doubt out there about, you know, the state of the country and its current rates of infection. So we'll just, I mean, attack the cliche of we'll attack one game as it comes has never been more true, as it, you know, in the current climate. So, but we're looking forward to Saturday, definitely.
Good luck, Darren. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Darren, presumably a slight cloud has been lifted now that there is at least confirmation that some government help's going to come forward with in the financial sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're quite lucky, especially with the way Scott works and his leadership, is that we're quite sheltered, I think, from those problems. I think we come in quite unconsciously every day and do our job, and we'll get paid for the service that we provide. I think it's a little bit different. I think it's probably a bigger cloud over Scott's head than mine, because it doesn't come out of my bank account, it comes out of Scott's. So I think it's a huge, it's only a start, isn't it? We don't know what that means to Yeovil. We've seen lots of figures bandied around, but until we know what that means for Yeovil and how much it means to Yeovil, then it's hard to know how optimistic Scott is. But you know, I think we've done quite a good job in retaining some focus for our group of players and the staff in particular.
Do you think that this league is stronger or weaker after the COVID situation? I mean, you know, plus the new teams that have come in.
I think I think all the leagues are the same. I don't think COVID's changed the status quo of any league. You've still got teams that are spending hundreds of millions of pounds at the very top. I mean, look what Chelsea have spent. I mean, they must have been on a different planet while we were all stuck indoors. So they're spending huge amounts. There are some clubs that are spending nothing. There's some clubs that have retained a consistency to their squad and not pushed the boundaries. But that's the same every year. You look at in terms of our division again. You look at Notts Counties, Stockports, teams like that. I mean, I looked at Neil's squad the other day. He's got 23 players. Wow. I'd love 11v11 in training, let alone like a strong bench and players spilling out and me upsetting people because they're not even in the squad. What an absolute wonderful position to be in. So, but we are what I don't think we're any different to last year. I think we'd like to build, and we'd like to be stronger, but we'll have to wait and see.
So presumably it would be a reasonable assumption to think that you think Notts County is going to be one of the front runners then.
Oh, absolutely. It's again, if I think it's quite noticeable with us having been a similar kind of dilemma to Notts County or situation to Notts County. But I think we've got 17 registered players. So I think for us the crowd are everything. To us, supporters are everything. The supporters at Yeovil make Yeovil. Darren Sarll doesn't make Yeovil. Gary Johnson doesn't make Yeovil. Terry Skibberton doesn't make Yeovil. The supporters make Yeovil what Yeovil is. And I think I've been saying this for quite a while. And it's only now when we're speaking again about it that whenever I used to come here as an opposition manager, I always felt an anticipation and an aggression in the stand. And I always felt that helped me as a coach focus and try and focus the players because I could feel the energy and the atmosphere within the ground. And I'm saying that now as the manager of this. We are what we are, and I behave the way I behave because I feel and I read off of the supporters and their energy. And we all know how powerful a group of supporters are when they're really behind you, and we've felt that. We've been lucky for 12 months. We've really felt that. Maybe not so much 1 or 2 games, but on the whole we've felt that. But it's when the supporters have been taken away. It's when you see clubs that have got that capability to grow their squad without people coming through the door. And look, I've got great respect for Neil and all the managers that want to be managers because it's a horrendous job at times. But their squad is very, very well formed. It's got some consistency from last year. It's got some good knowledge of the division now, and they've added to it. Jake Reeves, who was my youth team captain many moons ago at Brentford. Signing him for me is a real statement of intent. I think he'll be in the top 3 players in the division. And good players cost money. They really do. Stockport again, Jim's recruitment's been very strong. As has teams like Boreham Wood. I think Boreham Wood have moved their recruitment on as well. So, we'd like to grow, but we'll only grow within our capabilities. And at the moment, our capabilities are that we're able to open the doors every day and work, and we shall feel very lucky for that.
You mentioned that Notts County got 23 and you've only got 17, but you managed to keep a pretty strong nucleus of last season's team together in Yeovil. So, that must be a benefit for you for a start.
Well, of course, as long as they're fit, it's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit. If they're not available, then it's then obviously the problems start to come in. But for example, Albie and Charlie being injured today, they're our 2 central midfield players. And they play a certain way that allows us to be effective in those sort of systems and strategies. But who replaces them? Is there anyone that can replace Charlie light for light? No. Is there anyone that can replace Albie? No. So you have to start. We go back to this thing that I always say to you, Aid, and you go back to doing the math, working out the problem, and trying to provide a solution. And it is. When it comes off, you do look very, very clever, and when you don't come off, you get all of the know-it-alls that see it at home with their anoraks on, and they say, I'd have done this and I'd have done that, and good for you.
Yeah, long trip this time, Kings Lynn, 2 home games straight after, and then another fairly long trip. I think it's Halifax after that. I think. You know, you didn't used to travel, stay overnight very often, did you, last season?
Yeah, we stayed over when we had to. You know, we have a certain time limit that we work towards, and if we go over that time limit, then you know, then we travel overnight. So we're okay. We'll be overnight for both of those games, and you know, look, you're always competing with what the opponent's doing. And if you're travelling a long way, you remember their feet are up at home on a Saturday morning doing what they normally do. You know, it is a more comfortable way of being, but we won some good games, didn't we, away from home last year, where we had to travel on the day or we had to travel overnight. When we played Chesterfield away on the Tuesday, we travelled on the day. We played Solihull away, we travelled on the day. And we had some, you know, big performances when we went overnight as well. So, listen, it is what it is.
Do you find that the away games, when you stay away, it creates a bit more camaraderie amongst the group?
No, that's a load of tosh, all that rubbish. It's look, camaraderie is about character, and characters, you know, character is within a person, and you know, you get quiet ones and you get loud ones. The problem is with us is that we've got probably out of the 17, I'd say 12 are lunatics, and 5 are normal. And then you add Terry to the lunatics, and you add me to the normal, and we're probably 13-6, maybe in favour of normality. No, we don't need to stay away to have camaraderie. This group is, they're mad as a box of frogs, so we have more than enough entertainment Monday to Friday when we're training, so that's fine for me.
Good, thank you, Darren. That's me done.
Thanks, mate.
Darren, how's the squad looking? When you go to plan into games, are you more focused on the players you have available rather than who you're playing?
Absolutely. You know, you can't. You're manager of one team. You're not manager of the other. So you have to work out what you've got and try and, you know, optimise the ingredients and the characteristics that you got at your disposal, and that's the most important thing. And you know, listen, there's so many ways of being a coach or a head coach or a manager. Some managers want to look a lot into the opposition, some don't. Some like finding a balance. Me personally, at this club, and I can only say at this club because I think it does differ depending on what club you're at. We just try and concentrate on being very good ourselves. If the opponent's better than us, brilliant, well done. We'll hold our hands up and give them a clap as we leave. But it's so important that we concentrate what Yeovil do.
And just playing twice a week change that at all? Do you give any thought to Wildston yet, or is he just straight into Kings Lynn?
Ain't got enough players to worry about what happens at Wildston, have I? So, you know, we just got to try and get through Saturday, and the biggest problem for us is playing on the telly, obviously, because we don't win games when we're on the telly. I think we're a little bit frightened of being aired on BT Sport, so I think that's our biggest challenge.
And I know you mentioned last week that there's fears that this could be the ice age of football with the things that are going on.
Good comment, that, wasn't it? Good quote.
That's a good comment.
It's good.
It was a good story to run with.
Clever.
Are the likes of, you know, the stories of Bury and Macclesfield, is that worrying for a lot of other clubs around?
Unbelievably. I mean, you know, so we talk about this government aid. What if the government aid's not enough for Yeovil? Well, no one actually seriously thinks out there that if it's not enough that we can still survive, do they? So it's, you know, business is very, very simple. It's income versus expenditure, and you get profit out of that or not. If you spend too much and you're not bringing enough in, you start working at a loss. Too much loss equals gone. So, you know, it's the same problem year on year for, you know, thousands of businesses. But football is a spectator sport, and you know, we drive all of our outgoings and what we can spend over the course of 12 months as to what we expect to come in. And you know, it's going to be a massive problem, a huge problem if the numbers that don't come into the individual clubs are right. it's going to be a massive problem. But why would Yeovil receive the same grant funding as, for example, one of my old clubs, Hemel? Hemel's expenditure will be based on their turnstile and their revenue, maybe some commercial activity because they've got the 3G there now, but they don't get 3,500 on average to own games like Yeovil do. So our expectation would have been October the 3rd, we might have had a third in the ground, maybe 2,500, something like that, socially distanced, and by January we'd hopefully be another figure, an increased figure, and then towards the end of the season back to full whack. Obviously that's not happening, and we need to be remunerated accordingly in order to keep the doors open and the business open, and every business will be the same. I'm sure, like in all of these grants and all of these sort of systems and ideas, I'm sure there will be some that try to abuse it. I'm sure there will be, because I think that's just commonplace. But for us, it's about keeping the doors open and paying our players and making sure the staff in the back office retain their employment, and etc. etc. So, it's going to be an important couple of days.
Lovely, that's all for me. Thanks, Darren.
Hi, Darren. Russ from the National League's betting partner. How you doing? You okay?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks for your time so far. Just looking at the title contenders, obviously. We have you in there at sort of 6 to 1 to win the league, but obviously, in your opinion, who else will be up there come the end of the season?
I think if you go off just kind of recruitment alone and the amount of recruitment or the type of recruitment, you have to look at Notts County, Stockport. I think Dagenham have obviously decided to sort of throw the kitchen sink at it. That's what it looks like to me, because every other day they've signed someone else. Who have I missed? Solihull. We forget that Solihull signed Rooney before lockdown. It's a big signing. It's a bit of a marquee signing. So I think those types of clubs, and I think we all work off of that, don't we? In terms of the betting world as well. I think we look at, they must look at, obviously the work Jim's done and the fact that he signed what he signed and who he signed, and that's probably elevated them to new levels of expectation. But I think they'll be there. If you said to me right here, right now, that we'd be in another playoff campaign this time next year, you'd see a slightly overweight 37-year-old doing backflips and cartwheels out of the double doors. I'd have to open both doors, of course, but I'd be doing backflips and cartwheels out of them. Because I think it would be a huge achievement for us, because going back to it, Russell, for me, Yeovil is only Yeovil with its supporters. I really believe that.
Brilliant. And obviously, as you said, you know the squad really well. Which players are you really looking forward to step up this year? Not they did last year, but who's ready to set the wheels on fire?
Trick question.
Yeah.
Stabbing me up before the weekend.
No.
Look, I made him my first signing this year. In Josh Staunton. I think he's been terrific. Settled in so well. Very intelligent. Similar qualities to Charlie, or the way I talk about Charlie Lee and Albie Skendi, in that he's got 2 or 3 really strong characteristics or attributes that he does very well wherever he is. And I think for someone like us in this current market, that is huge, because of the way we used Charlie and Albie last year. To bring in someone similar like that we can throw around a bit, it's a big advantage for me. I think it's a really important year for Adam Smith. I think he's now got an opportunity where he's backed. I think he's now got an opportunity where he's very, very well thought of, and he's going to be number one unless he turns into an idiot or plays poorly over a consistent period. So I think it's a big year for those two. I think as centre forwards, especially Courtney, having a bit of almost like a breakthrough season. I think he has to back that up. Murphy we all know about, and has kind of got a little bit more layers to his career than maybe Courtney has right here, right now. I thought Matt Worthington last year was absolutely smashing. Really, really came on, completely changed his game. Probably changed the way everyone looks at him now as well in terms of what he brings to a team. I thought he was probably most improved. If we had that under 10 award that the best try used to get, I thought Worthington was probably the one that improved the most. His whole evolution of his game was just magnificent. So, but I'd like to say those 15 that I've just described.
And obviously, as you said, look, Yeovil's nothing without the fans. Obviously, you've got TV game on Saturday. Just in terms of how you motivate the players, the positive mental health with everything that's going off the field, how do you get them right with that 11 that go out are in the best shape for each game?
Well, that's the thing as a manager. You know, we all try these weird and wonderful techniques and and strategies, but that's where your recruitment is so important, because if you sign the let's call them self-starters or self-motivated athletes, then actually your work or your input is a lot less. And when I'm lucky, I've got the likes of Carl Dickinson, Lee Collins, Charlie Lee, Rhys Murphy's very vocal, Jimmy Smith's a fantastic character, and they're really big characters, and what they do is they do a lot of my job for me. And that's the strength of recruitment, and that was the benefit of re-signing Carl, extending Lee's contract, re-signing Charlie, Murphy being here anyway, bringing Jimmy back to the club, is that they largely do my job on a match day, and you have to accept as a manager on a match day, when they go down the tunnel, you are out of control. We all might give it the big one that we're in control, and we've done this and we've done that, and we've said this and we've said that, and we've trained this way or trained that way. But on a Saturday, it's a completely different arena, and you have to have trust in your players. And I said this a lot of times. I think it's probably only once last year where I felt really let down by this group of players. And that was it. So 90% of the time, they went down that tunnel with my undeniable trust and and confidence, and I got to let them get on with it. There's no point signing Charlie Lee if you're going to tell him how to play. There's absolutely no point. He's got he's seen so many games now. He's got so many layers of resilience in him that he needs to go out and have a platform to be himself.
And then just another one on the fans. Obviously, there's going to be no one in attendance on Tuesday and the following Saturday. You've got the two W's at home, Wildston and Wrexham. How important is it to make that home form count this year?
Well, we've seen kind of mixed results, haven't we, at the at the real top level with home form and things like that. But it is very much now. It's all going to be about what happens technically, tactically on the day, isn't it? Because psychologically, those supporters give you a huge lift. They can also, at some clubs, they can also take you in another direction. But for us, over the last 12 months, they've given us a real wallop up the backside when we've needed it, and that gives you the kind of the fire. But again, when I go back to being at Yeovil for the first time, I always felt a real anticipation, and what that's kind of developed into is a very strong expectancy of what is responsible to us and what we perform as. So it's going to be strange. I thought we showed good levels of motivation when we played in the playoff game. Obviously we got beat, but I thought the physical and mental performance of the players that day was second to none. So we're just going to have to get used to it, I guess, and be very grateful that we're able to get out there, do our jobs, be paid to do our jobs, touch wood, and be able to try and get through another campaign successfully.
Brilliant. Darren, thank you. Good luck for the season.
Cheers, folks.